Good afternoon. Happy Sunday. This is Matt, and welcome to the Poke Check podcast. This is episode 3. Again, this is a podcast created for all those amazing collectors on Instagram, all you hockey collectors. And last episode, Kelvin was on here talking about his Brodeur PC. We learned a lot about that. And I thought we'd continue the goalie theme. Somebody I've had on this channel before, and someone whose collection I love a lot because there's a lot of panini flavor in there, and I'm not talking about the sandwich. Of course, this is Andy, and he is the Calvin Pickard collector, or Pix collector on Instagram. What's up, dude?
Doing really well. Happy to be here. Happy to have people listen to us tell our stories. And yeah, I've been looking forward to this all week. So thanks for having me, and thank you to all the listeners out there.
Yeah, it's great to have you back on, Andy. We had a good chat with Nick, the Barrasso collector. Whew, man, that was a few months ago, huh? Seems like. But now that this podcast has got going, I thought, would give people that are listening to this and watching this a chance to hear about your collection, because on Instagram, there's a lot of very specific player collectors out there. And we're not just talking the McDavid and Brodeur and all these extremely popular players. Guys like Calvin Pickard and different skaters who are from different countries that, don't really play, but these people have every card imaginable. I mean, it's good to show them some love too. But I mean, I figured, with Instagram being as popular as it is, it would be nice to create one, and you've done the same thing. I mean, you must be having a great time on here, because I'm just kind of looking at some of your interactions and stuff in your collection, and it's very, very impressive what you've been able to put together in that short amount of time. But how long have you been on here on Instagram?
I think I want to say about 3 years. It hasn't been that long. I think I was talking to my buddy Tim, who's Turco Cards on Instagram, and he kind of convinced me to make one to share the collection. And here it is. And there's actually people that have actually reached out when they've had like a rare Calvin Pickard card, saying, "Hey, do you want this?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, of course." So definitely, definitely grateful for all of those that I've met.
Yeah, Turco Cards. That's an account right there that I think we would all recommend to any listener on here. Just search that up and see Tim's collection. I don't think you'll see anything like it, but I'd love to have him on with you sometime too. Maybe the next time you come on, it'd be great to have Tim on here too, just because he's probably got endless amounts of stories. But when you got on Instagram, were you already into the Calvin Pickard PC, or were you still kind of figuring out where you were going with your collection?
I think thanks to some good friends who sold me like their Pickard stuff, I had already had most of the stuff assembled, so it was definitely just a matter of just start posting pictures and seeing what's out there, getting the collection out onto the street and just joining that community, obviously with Time GVB, that hashtag with Mr. Gish and the Doug Gilmore collector. Yeah, all those guys are just incredible collections, but better people. So
figured I'd pull this up and show everybody. Yeah, I mean, I think you probably agree with me on this one. It seems like the sense of community with Instagram, and it continues to impress me. I would say that's the best part about being on Instagram and forming those friendships and whatnot. I mean, would you agree with that?
Absolutely, for sure. Just like we were talking about earlier. I remember I was working on this statistics assignment the weekend that Calvin Pickard got called up to Detroit, and I ended up getting like 10 people messaging me saying, "Oh my God, Calvin's in. He's playing a game, and I think he's in a shootout." So just to have that kind of camaraderie from everyone, it's incredible.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. I was one of those people who sent you a message, but I mean that's what's so cool, because you can have the greatest collection of all time, but when you take away the personal factor of it, those connections and the friendship aspect. That's what the hobby is all about, in my opinion. It leaves something to be desired. And it was fun for all of us to know that you were probably pretty stoked that not only did he come up to the NHL, but then he won a game for Detroit. And so, yeah, that's a really cool example of that. And then again, like you're saying, people reaching out. I mean, you're a super friendly guy, easy to talk to, fun to have a chat about anything with. So you put those things together and you see Calvin Pickard card come up. We all are like, let's go hit up Andy and see if he wants it, because it makes you just as happy seeing your friends get cards as you do getting your own cards, and so that's been really fun. I've lived vicariously through a few of your cards that you're probably going to show off, just because we've all been there and experienced when people reach out for us. And so that for me, just like the community aspect, continues to surprise me. I mean, I don't know if it happens with you still, but I continue to sit back and go, man, people are just so nice, it's you don't have to reach out to me, but they do,
Absolutely.
Something else.
I try to return the favor. I think this week I saw like a Brad Marchand 101 on Facebook, and I ended up messaging the Marchand collector on Instagram, being like, hey, like this card belongs to you, and he was just as grateful. So definitely, like I said, this community is awesome. People reach out to you, you reach out to other people, and it's sometimes I'm speechless about how much kindness there is in this hobby.
Well, especially on the hockey side of things, this isn't anything against any of the other three sports, but having been on Instagram for a little over a year and a half when I had my A-Rod collection, which is now completely in other people's hands, which I'm happy about, there was not nearly the sense of community there. And while hockey, the prices are going up, I almost felt like there was more emphasis on the community than the price of cards. Seeing people post base cards with amazing stories, hockey card nostalgia. I think Miles does a great job of showing stats and bringing these very, random facts together on these posts, and people enjoy that just as much as the Patch Auto 101. And I think I don't really see that as much in the other sports. So that, I think, has something to do with it. When you take the money side of things away from the cards and add just the personal factor to it, I think that is a good recipe for what we're seeing on Instagram, and it continues to impress both of us.
Absolutely.
I'm just ready for it to like completely die off, and everybody's about the money, but it's not happening, and I'm happy about that for sure.
Yeah, it's almost always going to be about the hobby. I think a lot of people I talk to, they love it for that reason alone. When you take away the money aspect.
Well, and again, I think watching and seeing your friends posting cards that you can relate to, as far as like, man, I mean, we all have like right now in our heads, we could probably name like 3 to 5 cards. That's like, if these cards show up, it's going to be like, oh my gosh. Like you just have that reaction, and then you see your friends, post a video or a little thing in the store, like, you're not going to believe what's coming in the mail today. Like I'm hinting at something, obviously, but that was a fun experience for me, and it has continued to be with a lot of accounts on eBay. But I think the knowledge is really impressive too. I mean, you could go to a number of people and ask them about a particular card or a set, and tons of people will be hitting you up and saying, well, I think this, and here's what happened, and you kind of put pieces together, and they're always willing to help.
For sure.
And that's been really cool for me to experience, because I've been on here for right when COVID started, I want to say, is when I decided to switch over to hockey. So was it 2 years ago?
Right. Yeah. 2 years already. It's been 2 years, but we're here. We survived. So
we're making our way through. Now, you mentioned you are still in school currently, and so I'm curious, because I know there's a lot of younger collectors on Instagram. I'm friends with somebody who's in high school still.
Right.
But how has that change? Does that change your approach, or how does that shape your approach to collecting? Because obviously, Pickard is not the most expensive player, but there's still some pretty big cards that take some money to get. So just in general with collecting, how do you approach that as being a student?
Well, first off, I think I'm a little more fortunate than most students in that I'm in grad school right now. So in terms of a budget, I have a little bit of a higher budget that I can go to for things that I kind of want. But back in the day, like my second, third year university, like I know what it was like. I know what it was like doing classes, doing part-time work, and I was out of the hobby for probably around 6 years. So it's definitely all about budgeting. If obviously you take care of your needs, and then you take care of your wants. So I'm also fortunate enough that Calvin's not a too big a name where if like a rare card comes up, I know I'm not gonna have to break the bank on it. So that's I think that's the advice that I would give to anyone who's young and collecting, is just knowing your budget.
Right. No, that's big, and I'm pretty sure a lot of collectors, we all have like a budget in our heads. Like, oh boy, I mean, I've kind of already bought that. I've already bought that this week, but my next paycheck isn't for another 10 days. Like, okay, I should probably wait here. Did you also kind of prioritize before the collection got to where it's at now? Let's say pre-COVID, like right as COVID was hitting,
Right.
That's when we saw like tons of cards getting thrown up on eBay, and prices weren't too bad for hockey at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Did you already have kind of a, most wanted list, top 10, top 20 or something like that, so you could prioritize, okay, yeah, that one that just showed up on eBay is nice, it's out of 50, but that one, if it shows up, one of these 10, that one's going to have to wait. Did you do that in order to kind of pick those cards up?
You know what? To be absolutely honest with you, I didn't. I didn't have a list. Anything that came up on eBay that I saw was at a reasonable price. I just threw an offer, or I picked it up. And like I said, being a grad student and getting paid to do lab work, it's definitely different. But yeah, it wasn't a matter of if this card came up, I would buy it. It was just seeing what was available out there. Considering that I think he wasn't one of the guys that was really paid attention to a whole lot in Panini or Upper Deck. You look at some of the goalies that came out during those years: John Gibson, Freddie Anderson, Peter Mrazek. They had a ton of stuff in product, and Calvin was one of those rare guys who basically Upper Deck and Panini didn't really give a chance to. So being such a rare guy, it was just nice to see things of him pop up, and for the price that I got him for, I could leave happy.
Okay, and that's interesting, because that might be something for people to consider too. I think it's always good to offer advice up. If your PC guy is someone that falls into that realm of young player, a lot of potential, hasn't seen a lot of time, but there's a decent amount of stuff out there. Maybe you can just kind of, depending on the price, not really go for a want list. I mean, obviously anything 1-on-1 is a priority if you can find it, but when you're collecting, well, I mean, we'll get there, but it'd be nice if you owned one. But when you look at, since we're talking about goaltenders, like right now, you just mentioned Freddie Anderson, very popular, John Gibson, it's pretty popular. Then you got Marc-Andre Fleury. You go up to Vasilevsky, Carey Price. I mean, I think Carey Price might be the most collected goalie that is currently on the team. You have to, with those guys, that's when you have to start prioritizing, and I bring that up because that's something that I did this morning before we started recording this. Is I had created that want list at the very beginning of the year, and I've been able to cross off a few. So I wanted to kind of update it and make sure that those are the cards that if those show up, any of that other stuff that'd be nice to have can just go to the wayside. I mean, you can't own everything when you collect a player like that. It's kind of interesting that we have some differences, because while you don't own every Calvin Pickard card made, that's not an unrealistic goal to go for when you're collecting a guy like that. And I enjoy collecting some guys on the side too, and I've looked at, okay, well, how many cards do these guys have? Oh, like 300 and something cards. That's not completely unreasonable, but then it's just the trick of finding them when they're as old as they are, like how many new Pickard cards get listed on a weekly basis, would you say?
5 if I'm lucky.
Okay.
And I have all 5.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm seeing with Leland Irving too. He's been a fun little project, and I'm lucky if I see one that I don't have at this point.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you if there's any guys out there that you collect that may not be, along the upper echelons, as like the Flurries or the Carey Price or Vasilevsky, and yeah, you said right there, Leland Irving. I still remember him back when he was playing for Everett.
That's right, and that's where I was born. I grew up there for 6 years, so
wow.
I have a bit of a tie to that team, the Silvertips. He's one of them for sure. I really like his story. He's a cancer survivor at a very young age, and to come back from that and play in the NHL, and he's still playing overseas, which is cool. Yeah. He's got an Instagram account. He's a family guy. Posts pictures of he and his kids out having fun all the time, and I haven't messaged him back and forth yet, but he's one of those guys, when I post a card and I tag him, he usually likes it, which is pretty cool. Ben Scrivens is another one. I mean, he's a little more popular because he holds the record for most saves in a shutout, but hobby-wise, he doesn't hardly get any love, the professor. And he seems like a really down-to-earth guy. And I was talking to crease collector Aaron. He said, yeah, Ben's, if you run into him and you ever have a chat, he'd love to stop and chat goaltending with you. So those guys have been really fun, and a couple others that when I was putting the Young Guns set together, I really wanted to find guys that had really cool masks that stood out to me. And one of them was, this is just kind of a random one, but I'll show it real quick. Is let me see if I can get the layout to work here. There we go. Is Danny Taylor, who played for the Kings back in the day. Let's see if my camera's there. We go. So I really liked his mask a lot. That's something that stood out to me in the colors, and he had silver pads instead of white pads.
Right. Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. So when I put the Young Guns set together, I saw him, and I've been able to grab some cards of him and Dan LaCosta.
Yeah.
That rookie class was probably my favorite.
Right. That was
going back and looking.
Yeah. Well, that was 08-09, right? I think.
I believe so. Yes. Let me check the back of this. This is 2009-10, but I don't know if. Yeah, I think 09-10 is where they're at, because I have a couple of those cup cards of theirs, and so that's a fun class. Pascal Leclair is another one. I look at setups and I'm like, oh, those are cool, and then you get a card for $1 or $2. That's just incredible. So, what about yourself? I mean, Calvin Pickard doesn't show up that often. You've got to be kind of going some other directions, I would think.
Yeah, definitely. So two side PCs. One of them is Ice Premier Rookies. I love the product. The cards printed on the acetate instead of like a paper stock.
Right.
Yeah, it's a classic card. Came out in the mid-90s. And I'm just really happy that they've been able to carry that production onward and had some incredible names to be rookie cards. And yeah, there's an example of one right there, Tuukka Rask. I've had that for almost forever. And his retirement this year, what can I say? I started watching him when he was young. I caught a few World Junior games of him back when he was like 17, 18. And now it's the end of an era, I'd say.
I'm really bummed for him, because he was in his mid-30s or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Man. And this card has actually a pretty cool story. And we're both laughing about it, but it was neat. So you definitely got to share that with everybody, because we're in a little Facebook group together too, which is fun.
Yeah. So I think someone posted a top want list that or a top card you'd want to try and pick up before the end of the year. And I just go, I love Kirby Dach. Probably one of my favorite players right now, who's not a goalie. And I think I comment saying, yeah, I'd probably want to pick up a Kirby Dach out of 99 Ice rookie. that being my favorite product. And I think about a week later or 2 weeks later, that card ended up getting listed. I was like, "Okay, boys, here we go. We're going in on it."
Yeah, that was awesome, man. It's kind of cool how it manifested itself in that way,
And I
because
think,
those 99s they're out of 99, but they show up like they're out of 10,
yeah.
basically. Like, you hardly ever see them.
I think the few weeks following, I think 2 of that card's printing plates came up at a cup. So
Wow.
I ended up posting in that group. Okay, guys, should I do it? Should I do it? And of course, like the majority of the answers was like, yes, you do it. That's half the print run of the printing plate. So I ended up picking
Right.
the printing plates as on top of that.
Oh, that's awesome, man. It's pretty cool when you have a conversation or something, like you talk about how much you think about how much you want a certain card, and then it just, again, it manifests itself somehow. It's yeah, the hockey card gods, I guess, watch over some of us,
Yeah.
a little bit better than others. But that was really cool to see that. So you also had a really cool time at a card shop recently. Is this your LCS, or did you go further away to find this?
So to make a short story long, I used to be an
Perfect.
assistant manager at a store in Winnipeg for a family, the Ramsey family. We were called AJ Sports and Cards. We were in a mall for 2 years. We were actually in 2 malls for a little while, and we had to shut both of them down with rent and everything. And the family wanted to concentrate on their other business, so a lot of our inventory ended up going to other card shops around the city. And so there was a card shop on called Can Central, who was being sold by an older owner, and then 2 brothers picked up the business and ended up knowing the family which I work for. So a lot of our inventory ended up getting transferred over to Can Central.
Oh,
So,
wow.
ended up going there, and yeah, I consider it my local card shop, and I might be working there soon enough,
Really?
a side gig. So
Nice.
yeah, it's just funny how this hobby goes full circle like that. And
No kidding.
yeah,
Wow. You go to this card shop, which you were hopefully going to be working at soon. I
yeah,
know where I'm going if I come to Canada to visit
yeah.
at some card shops, but you found a good deal of those rookie cards, those ice rookies in a box, right?
Yeah, yeah, 3 for $1. Some decent names too. Ended up picking out, I think, 140, and paid $40 for all of them.
That's
So
amazing, man.
for
That's
40
so
Canadian
cool.
on top of that.
Yeah, I mean, for those of us in the US, that's like 29, $30, something like that. That's pretty impressive. How many do you have currently? Have you counted how many ice rookies you have
Oh,
right now?
too many to count, but it fills up like a 2-sided box, so I'd say that's a substantial
Wow.
amount. Still a long way to go. Still gonna work my way up to maybe a Crosby or an Ovechkin, but that's
Yeah.
years down the line. Like I said,
Well, if you don't have Alex Burrows, I can help you with that. That's the only one that I have that I could help you out with. But because that's Crosby's rookie year, so there you
yeah,
go. Cool. Yeah, that's fun. I mean, those LCS stories. I mean, we are, I think, in no shortage of having some kind of a story tied to an LCS, whether it's from our childhood or later on. I mean, I think back to my dad taking me to card shops and picking out the Barassos and picking out goalie cards, and we had a lot of good times. I mean, I wish we could go back to those card shops. Many of them are closed now in the Washington area, just because they all did after the 90s. Cards kind of took a turn in a different direction, and a lot of the shops closed down. There was one that was this, I don't want to say older lady, but she was, my mom's age now. So, but she was so nice, and we would go down there and visit her, and she'd always have certain cards pulled out for us, knowing that we were coming to visit. So, those are the types of things that, and you've always, probably not always, but you've dreamt of owning your own shop, I imagine, right? At some
yeah.
point.
Maybe one day down the line when I'm retired, or something to do with hockey, anyways.
Right. That would be fun. Just the interactions that you have with people is the best part. We've talked about that a lot, but I can definitely remember her, and then another card shop in Mill Creek, Washington, where my grandparents used to take me. There was a guy in there that always hooked me up with some cool cards. So
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a dream of mine too. I don't live in a really big place, 8,500 people. It's hard to support a hobby shop here, but maybe I'll just go full Pokemon and Magic the Gathering and have just a little tiny sports section off to the side or something. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that kind of makes me curious too. Like, we talked about this a little bit, but do you know where your hobby love all started? Do you have that vivid memory, like when the bug bit you?
I do. And it's funny that you asked me, because I still know the owners really well of this winter shop. And yeah, I was a young lad, and of course, growing up in Winnipeg, Manitoba, we love our hockey. Back in the 90s, it was hockey and hockey cards. There was you could buy packs on every corner. It's definitely not like it is now, but I was probably about 8, 9 years old. My mom would take me to Portage Place Mall on Saturday afternoons, and I just spend hours looking through cards at this one shop. And this was after I had quit hockey. Couldn't skate very well, but kind of collecting cards is the way that I still kept up with the game, followed my favorite players. So it became a Saturday tradition for me. Of course, I had that luxury being an only child as well. So most Saturdays afternoons, yeah, spend a few hours at the card shop, spend a few bucks, then go home and watch Hockey Night in Canada. And then that was it. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better Saturday.
That sounds like a lot of fun. I've talked to a few people that mentioned Hockey Night in Canada was like a highlight for them growing up. So you actually have something from your early days of collecting, right?
Yeah. I don't think I think most people had their first ever cards kind of thrown out by their moms or whatever, or they end up somewhere
same here. Yeah.
that they didn't know. But I still have the first card I ever bought, and this is a card that I'm never letting go of. I think I got this when I was in the 4th or 5th grade. Just a nice looking card. It's not worth very much, but I have it in a screw down for a reason.
The sentimental value will keep that card in your collection forever. Who cares what it's worth? That's not what it's about.
Yeah. This was 8-year-old me buying his first hockey card. I think I got it for like 10 cents too. Something like that.
So why Solani? What's the connection there?
I was obsessed actually with the Jets 1.0. Like I love their history. And Solani was obviously, 76 goals as a rookie, so I was always captivated by goal scorers before I started liking goalies. So
that makes sense. It's funny though, because when I see those old teams, I think of the goalies that played for them. So Bob Essenza, Tim Shovelday come to mind.
Nick Habibulin was probably one of my favorites.
That's right, because he was in the mid 90s all the way through, and I can't remember when he got traded, but yeah, those Essenza, Habibulin, Shovelday played there just a little bit at the end of his career. Who am I forgetting? There's got to be another goalie
Dan Burchome, I think, was there for a while.
Okay, man, I'm trying to think. Winnipeg Jets, yeah, because when did they stop being Winnipeg and move on, and then obviously they're now the Jets again. But
yeah, I think it was around 95, 96 is when they moved to Arizona, and that's kind of a different story now with the modern day Arizona situation. I mean,
oh boy. Well, I mean, at least the games. It'd be great to go see if Fleury play next year in Arizona, because he did 3,000 seats. I mean, you'll be right on top of him practically.
Mm-hmm.
So at least the experience would be great. I just don't know if their team's going to be good at any point. But you never know, though. I mean, look how bad some of those teams were last year, and they're doing much better this year. So it could happen, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, looking back on that, I have a scan of like the card that, really got it going for me. At least I think back to it. There's a lot of cards my dad bought for me when I was young, but coming back to the hobby when COVID hit, I think this set, my dad loved Pinnacle, and I loved this card of Tebow. Just the little rookie logo, the Pinnacle with the black border, the all blue. I think at a young age, I was very much impressed and enjoyed the color coordinated setups, because a lot of goalies just rock those old kind of dirty white pads and the blocker and glove, and they had maybe they had a design like, Kirk McLean had a really cool mask, Patrick Waugh, Phil Potman and Belfort, like goalies started doing that. But I just remember seeing this and thinking, man, that's so cool. He's got a red cage and all this and that throat protector. Like, I just liked how everything complemented the setup. And obviously the glove is in that color. I always like that color. So this card really stuck with me. And when I got back into collecting, that was one of the first cards. I went and did a Sport Lots order, and that was in there. And I found out there's no peachy version. And I guess if I was going to say I have a Tebow Dream card, it would be that and a PSA or PGS 10, which I don't think it exists. I'd have to go look at the numbers. But because of the black border, like that's going to be impossible to find. But love that card. And I remember my dad teaching me how to pronounce names of the goalies, like Stéphane Fizet instead of Fizet. Dominique Rousseau was another one. Jocelyn Thibault. Like, I remember learning all these European and names of the goaltenders, and that's kind of, I don't know, maybe helped me read a little bit better. But because I was always reading the back and learning how to pronounce names, so all those memories really stick with me. And,
for sure, yeah.
It doesn't help the fact that when I've done some box breaks and I've tried to pronounce names, I get them wrong. And of course, everybody on Instagram is super nice about it. They're like, no, dude, that's not correct. You need to get it right. So I've tried to educate myself a little bit on that. But yeah, good memories, man. Good memories. We had one card shop in Soldotna, Alaska. I only went there a couple times. They had hockey cards, but never got to just go hang out at a card shop and enjoy the hobby, like I used to. I actually was asked a question by a friend, and I want to throw this one to you.
Yeah.
Would you, if you had the chance, even for like a week, be an adult like our age now in the 90s when hockey cards were, like the Leaf you showed me, the Pinnacle? Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, absolutely. Just seeing how the hobby even worked back then, because it's such a strange world now compared to back then. I've had people tell me that it was more concentrated on like set building and yeah, the dynamic of it is just night and day. So if I were to go back to like the 90s just to see how it worked, it would just be an unreal experience.
Yeah, that would be something else, wouldn't it? Especially having the funds to be able to collect in a specific way. And then you get into that, 96 to 2000, some just really low printed, tough inserts and parallels came out. And that changed the dynamic of collecting, because set builders like, well, how am I supposed to put this together? It's out of 100.
Right. Yeah.
And you didn't have, eBay was just becoming a resource, Yahoo Auctions a little bit. But tracking down those cards, you'd have to go to all the card shows. You'd have to, travel to other states. I mean, you'd have to have good connections on message boards. Like, it was really a different beast back then. But it would have been fun to have the funds that we do now, and like, okay, so what am I gonna like collecting? Jocelyn Thibault would have been a lot different without having the internet to track down 90% of the cards that he has. It's something else, man. But that would have been fun for sure. Do you have any, like, looking back on those 90s sets besides Leaf, any sets or cards that stand out to you when you think of that era?
Oh man, I think like during the 90s era, or
yeah, like like that 93 to 99, like when like you just showed the back of that Solani, like
right.
We're never gonna see backs of cards look like that again. Probably not.
I just think of the first ice rookies that were printed, or the first ever future watches that were printed, or just how crazy hockey cards were back then in terms of what was a rookie card and what wasn't. And that's actually a story that I would not only like to share with you, but it's just something that captivates me, because sometimes a guy would have a young gun, but he'd have something printed beforehand that would make that card the rookie card. So like nowadays, every young gun is a rookie card, but
right
in the day, not every young gun was a rookie card, if you know what I mean. So
I follow you. Yep.
Me being fixated on collecting rookie cards, it's such an interesting conversation, because some sources will say, oh, like this World Junior card is his rookie card and everything else is just an extension of that. So
well, what do you think? I mean, if you're going to get like Paul Correa, That's a
Yeah.
World Junior card that sticks
Yep.
out to me.
Yeah.
Would you prefer to own the World Junior card, or do you want his first Ducks rookie card?
I think I would prefer the World Junior card just because that's the one that's been branded as the rookie card.
Okay.
It was the first printed as like the first licensed card out there of him. But nowadays it's they have to be in an NHL uniform to have a rookie card. So it's
When did that crossover happen exactly? When they just stopped doing World Junior cards, or like because they made those like the AHL releases by Upper Deck, and they've got the Team Canada stuff like that. Was it Connor? Not Connor. Bedard. What is it? Is that who it is? Connor Bedard, or
like the next one that's supposed to be like?
No, there's a really good player. I think it's Bedard.
Connor Bedard, Regina.
Yeah, there we go. Those cards are going crazy, but those aren't his.
Those aren't his rookie cards.
Okay, yeah. I wonder when that stopped.
Yeah,
when that changeover happened.
It sounded like it was about in the early 2000s where the NHLPA just went, whoa, you guys have got to calm down with this rookie card business because you're releasing cards, calling them rookie cards of guys in the World Juniors when they're not in the NHL yet. So,
Okay. Interesting. I mean, the World Juniors, by the way, are a lot of fun. I know we were pretty excited to watch them this year, and they are going to be played still just in the summertime. So I'm glad they're getting all those kids back together to really have a tournament. And it's fun to follow some of those careers, like, Spencer Knight.
Yeah.
I hope that he starts off just kind of like meh for like 3 or 4 years, and then like gets really big because everybody knows him. He's an American goalie. He was at the World Juniors. He's had a shutout in the championship game. I mean, like. Right. He's a stud, and I just say that because it'd be nice to put some cards of his in the collection for not very much. But it's really been cool to see those guys. Bowen Byram is another one. Peyton Krebs, obviously Trevor Zegras, and he's a stud. He was amazing in the tournament. But just seeing those guys play, it just adds a little more excitement. Like, oh, I can't wait for them to A, make it to the NHL, and B, get their first rookie card and see how they kind of work their way up and down the popularity of collectors. But that makes me want to ask Calvin Pickard, did you follow him? Maybe not World Juniors. I don't know if he played in them, but did you follow him prior to him making it?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is an interesting story because one of my favorite World Juniors tournaments of all time, I think follows a lot of people's favorite World Juniors tournament of all time, being the 2009 edition. And of course you had all those high scoring games, plus the Jordan Eberle game tying goal, plus the 5-1 win over the Swedes in the final, and the 7-4 win over the States on New Year's Day. So many classic moments coming in one tournament. But the reason why I love that tournament was Dustin Tokarski. Like me, he was a smaller goalie. He moves really well, so it's definitely someone that I looked up to. But the backup was Chet Pickard, who's Calvin's brother. So that's how I heard of Calvin, because they had mentioned over the broadcast that Chet Pickard has a brother that also plays goal. And when it came time to Calvin's World Junior, he was on the selection camp but didn't make the roster. So I think it was around then that I started picking up his first few cards when he was in like the prospect set. But building what I have now, I never thought that'd be a reality. I never even thought about super collecting him until maybe a few years ago when I actually got to meet him.
That definitely sent you over the edge, and like it's been nonstop since then.
Yeah.
That's cool. No, that's neat. The personal connections that we have with certain players, I think that's really what you can ask any PC guy, any super collector of any player. There's definitely some kind of a reason behind it, when at least with hockey, that has nothing to do with money.
Right.
Like, it's nice to know that certain cards are going to hold value. Sure. I mean, that's this little safety net or whatever. But you talk to guys like Al, Chris, the Longo collector, Tim, Turco. Sure, the money side of things, you have to pay for the cards, and it'd be nice to know you can get something for them if something happened. But it's not about that. There's a story. There's a reason behind it, and that's what I love hearing about the most. I find that to be more important than the most expensive cards people have or whatever. Is why did you end up collecting this person? Why do you like this player? What are they like in person? Are they a good person? And so that's really cool to hear. And hopefully, and you mentioned that you have an opportunity coming up as long as things go smoothly this summer with restrictions, right?
Right. Mm-hmm. So last year, actually, Calvin and Chet decided to come home to run some goalie camps from all ages, from kids age up to the like the adults who started playing hockey later. So I decided to sign up for it, but then in Manitoba we had a lockdown. The camp wasn't running, but the last time I talked to Chet, who's kind of the main guy running the camp, he said he would try to work it in again this year. So fingers crossed that this summer I'll be able to attend the camp and see what I can learn.
That's great, man. Well, hopefully you can get a picture and share that with us, standing between both of them or something. But
yeah, it'd be unreal.
Well, but that's what's cool though, is I feel like with the hockey guys, I've always got the impression that all the hockey players are not. It's not that they're held to different standards, but they carry themselves in less of a superstar way. Like you see, I have to bring this guy up because every time I watch him, like he is so full of himself. But I shouldn't be surprised that LaMelo Ball is the way that he is. But like he was asked yesterday, "Who's your favorite player?" He said myself. So you have that extreme with a lot of the NBA guys are very much like Steph Curry is not going to walk down the street ever by himself. But even Marc-Andre Fleury to an extent, maybe not McDavid, but most NHL players could go out and dress like you and I do, walk down the street, go get some food, and they might get a couple people come up to them, but they're not unapproachable in that way. And that's one thing that brought me into the hobby of back into hockey was just like even Carey Price and like all these guys that are just stud athletes, amazing athletes on the ice. They're just as amazing off the ice, in the way that they interact with fans, and so that for me is just really cemented it with Fleury because just the other day he saw, I think, a little kid who had a sign and he signed a stick for him and talked with the family. Like to see guys like that continuing to go to those lengths and it's all make it all about the fans. That's really what separates hockey from all the other major sports in my mind.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most of these guys, like they'll go and they'll help the community one way or another. They'll help coach, they'll put together benefits, and it's really just awesome to see things like that. And it gives the kids something to look up to. Right.
Well, it sure made an impact on you with certain players, and I'm sure it's going to in me, and I'm sure with those kids, they've made they'd have those players have new fans for life, and that's what it's all about, man. And every time I see stuff like that with the NHL, it's not like I'm surprised, but it makes me really happy to hear about it. So hopefully you have an amazing experience in that camp. And, being someone who has very little regrets, but one's not pursuing playing goaltending, I'm very much looking forward to living through your experiences and what that's going to be like. So do you feel like, you playing goalie, because you do enjoy playing the sport too? Yeah. How much has that added to your passion for collecting?
Oh, I have so much respect for it. Obviously, you got to be a little crazy to say I want to stand in front of a puck going 100 miles an hour, but it's just something that I've always wanted to do all my life, and being able to actually do it is one animal. Being able to love it is another animal. But all things considered, I have absolutely no regrets. I love going to Moose games, sitting behind the bench and watching the goalies play, seeing them do their thing, right? And then being able to go to a card shop after and saying, "Hey, do you have this guy's rookie card or whatever?" Cool. So yeah, it's all interconnected with me.
And you've seen Calvin play, I assume, a few times, right?
Yeah, but I think 4 times live now.
Okay. Awesome. Any of those memorable? Did any of those end up in a winning effort?
Once.
Okay. Well, hey, but that's at least you've seen him win one time.
I'll take it.
I saw Fleury play once. He played 9 minutes, got yanked, and I even had the chance because after the game, I knew I was going to be able to go down where the players exited to go to the bus, and I was in Arizona at the time, and I couldn't believe I was going to see my hockey hero. This is back when I was in college, and I didn't collect at the time, but he got pulled, and Brent Johnson came in, and they won in a shootout, which was awesome. Crosby scored the game winner, which is great because my buddy I was with hates him. Yeah, there he is. And I'll never forget, I was maybe 30 feet out from where he came out. Fleury came out of the locker room, and he started walking by. And this is before cell phones were so accessible. Maybe if I had this phone, it would have gone differently. But he looked so disappointed. He was not happy coming out of that locker room, and I couldn't bring myself to say anything to him. And thankfully he stopped there was a bunch of kids at the very end that had a Fleury sign. He stopped, took a picture with them and signed their poster. And I was like, all right, good for him. And not to say that him getting yanked that time did anything, but he won, I think, 13 games in a row after that day of getting pulled. So either they being pissed off about getting yanked or the kids or something, but it was cool to see him go on a big streak after that. But so you're doing better than me. I've never seen my player play and A, stay in the whole game, and B, win the game. So hopefully next year I'll be able to make that happen. As he mentioned, he definitely wants to play one more year, and then he doesn't know after that. So I'm assuming, depending on how it goes, he'll continue playing. I mean, I feel like he could play 3-4 more years looking at how athletic he still is.
You know what? Fleury's one of those guys that just gets better with age. Like, he's like Luongo. Those two guys, I mean, they're still dominant in their late 30s. So it's incredible how they keep themselves so fit and so agile to play for that long. But it's it's great to see because they're living legends.
I hope to see him play a couple times. I'm not going to lie, because he could retire at any moment. I thought he was going to retire at the beginning of this season. To be honest with you, thank God he didn't. But well, I think we've had some really good chats about some of our background and with the players and why we started collecting. I mean, I think it's always good to show off, not show off, I guess, but showcase some cards and whatnot. And one topic that we wanted to chat about today, which is really exciting, because any collector, whether you collect Calvin Pickard, Marc-Andre Fleury, or a goalie that's never played in the NHL, anywhere in between, there's always like a card or two that's like, we call it like the mountaintop card or a Mount Rushmore card, most wanted card, however you want to say that. And the story behind deciding that's your most wanted card, seeing it available somehow, those emotions, and then buying it, and then it arrives. Like, that whole process is an emotional roller coaster that I think we can all relate to. So I guess for me, it started off for you, like when you got to the Instagram side of things, started posting, at that point you had most of what we've seen and do continue to see on Instagram. What was the card going in, like, I really want to own this card someday?
Honestly, it was something that I had no idea if anyone had. I had no idea if it had been pulled yet. Obviously, 13, 14 National Treasures hockey it's a huge set, and there's almost no way that you could find unopened boxes still. But it's still in the back of your mind. It's if it's a 101, it's like, okay, does someone have it, or is it still in a box somewhere on a shelf? So the way that I kind of found my holy grail card was on Facebook, when a Shield collector actually posted a picture of all of his shields, and in this tiny pixel, I thought, could that be it? So I ended up messaging him, and yeah, he had the shield right then and there.
Okay, so right at that point, see, you have like like the excitement starting to build as soon as the message came back with a bigger picture of it. Did you have that like when your heart kind of like jumps?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably say it skipped a few beats.
Yeah. So what next? I mean, obviously he's a set collector, so those prying a card away, which is a great segue eventually for me, but prying a card away from a set collector, that's not easy, and you already know, like, I'm going to have to fork out a bit of extra because it's not going to be replaced likely.
Yeah. And that definitely went through my head because this was a Shield collector. So it was something that I wanted. Obviously, it was something that I wanted, but I also want to like repay him back.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, maybe if I could pick up a Shield and ended up trading it. So I did end up reaching out to him, and his reply was, it was a card that's I'm not really attached to. And I showed him pictures of my collection, what I had, and he's like, okay, just throw me an offer, and I just wanted to go to a good home. And I think at that point it was like, wow, I can't believe that I'm this close.
Right. Well, and that's that you love to see, man. I mean, for anybody that listens to this, I'm assuming most people that listen to this are like that.
Yeah.
But if you're not that way and you have a hard time letting certain cards go, I just want to throw it out there that kind of approach when Andy, you not only did you reach out and tell him probably how much you enjoyed collecting, but to show your collection off and him knowing that it's going to a good home, that is, in my opinion, the best way to have a transaction go down. So at that point you're really close. Did you feel like because it was like the card, did you go extra strong on your offer, or did you already have a price in mind? Like, okay, if this card shows up, this is where I'm going to be no matter what.
I kind of had a price in mind, and with kind of my experience with selling cards on eBay, I was throwing him an offer that, it obviously wasn't a lowball offer. This is my holy grail right here. So, I want to throw in an offer that was fair, and he's like, okay, done deal. Came up with the shipping, and it was like that. And I know that a lot of transactions for people don't happen that smoothly,
mm-hmm.
but I'm just grateful that this worked out the way it did.
That's awesome. And then did it come from the States to Canada?
It came from Ontario to Manitoba. So I think I got it. I think I had a schedule because he gave me the tracking code, punched it in. It said that it was supposed to be here. I think it was the Monday a few weeks after, and it showed up the Friday.
That's cool.
So yeah,
that's awesome.
Caught me by surprise,
but that's the perfect card to show up early. Well, I didn't scroll down too far because I didn't want to show it off. Do you have it in front of you too?
I have it right here. Yeah.
And you did do a video, which was really neat because I don't know if you'd hinted that that's what it was,
right?
But I think after it came soon after we had you on the podcast here or the YouTube channel, so it showed up. But it was super cool to see you unveil it on video and experience what it's like to see that card through your eyes. So yeah, super cool. Let's see it, man.
Yeah, it's right here. There's the Shield, 101 Shield.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's on card as well.
Yeah, on card auto. The patch is incredible. I actually thought it was going to be like a sublimated patch because that's what it looked like in the photo. But when I actually got a better look of it, it was an actual Shield patch. So
yeah. That's cut from the neck part of the jersey, I'm assuming, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Awesome.
And I think there's also shields where they do part of the hat or do part of like another shield. I'm not too sure, but yeah, I'm just happy that I was able to pick that up and for a good price too.
Awesome. And I do want to say that most people know this, but all the hockey game used cards, minus a few when Fleury was a rookie, that's part of the reason I don't have either of them, are all game used cards, are game used pieces. And even a basic jersey card, in my opinion, carries a lot more weight because of that fact. They're the only sport that does that. And so that's that in my mind. It's like knowing that he wore that in a game or I assume they wouldn't do a practice jersey. So knowing that he wore that in a game that he played in, I'm guessing most of his game use stuff from his rookie year came from the same jersey, I would think.
Yeah. Because I think he got only called up for 2 games and then got sent back down and then played a whack load of games after when Varlamov got hurt a few seasons later.
Okay. So I wonder, the National Treasures came out post season being over. So I'm assuming that big run when Varlamov got hurt is they probably got a couple of jerseys from then, like maybe a warm-up jersey, and then he threw another jersey on, and the warm-up is the one that they cut out. But either way, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really, really cool. I think, and I haven't shown this off on video, I did post this on Instagram 3 or 4 days ago, but kind of similar in the way that it worked out. I mean, it was a little bit tougher as far as knowing that I was taking this from a set collector, but Kelvin, or Collects, who was on here last week, super fun guy to chat with. He hit me up with a link to a Reddit post, and Reddit, it's not very strong when it comes to the collecting side. It's not like Instagram where you have a lot of interaction. It's just cards showed up, a couple people comment, some upvotes, and that's it. Some guy on there had posted a ComC mail day that he got. I mean, the mail day itself was just like, oh my gosh, like tons of incredible rare cards. And within that was this Fleury card. My eyes are shot in the dark, throw a comment up on the post. Hey, big Fleury collector, but this is my number 2 most wanted card. I would love to add it to my collection. Please reach out if you're on Instagram, post my Instagram handle. And I left it at that. I really didn't think I would hear from him. And about a week and a half ago, this random guy named Drew hits me up and goes, hey, I saw your message on Reddit. You're interested in the Fleury. I'm like, wow, no way. Like, all right, step 1's done. And I kind of went back and forth, said, hey, what are you looking for? Let's talk trade first, because he was very adamant on trying to find something of equal value. And I've never really been keen on that myself. I feel like I'd rather get money for a card that I'm selling, so that I can then be ready to pounce when a certain card shows up, unless one of my most wanted happens to be in the picture.
Right.
And so I offered up the kitchen sink, man, of Fleury cards that I was willing to move. And he just was like, I don't need more cards, honestly, unless it's within that same set, which I didn't have. And so he gave his price, which was about 150 more than I, in my mind, had pictured wanting to pay. And so I said, well, I got to make up the difference here. And so it's always nice to have a card or two stashed away that you could move, that it'll be able to move. You'll get some nice money for it that you can then basically make up the difference on a purchase for.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So I was able to do that. Shout out to my buddy Jeremy. I can't say what I sold him, but I guess between the two of us, but he's going to take really good care of that card that I sent him. And so he was able to help me not only make up the difference, but have some money to put away. And so it was awesome. As soon as I paid him, he already had it packaged up, everything. I got him the money on Monday morning, and it arrived 3 or 4 days later. It was awesome. So here it is, and any Upper Deck fans will like this set. It was one of those stealth releases, but it's the Fanimation. And it's, anybody that has a player in this set knows how awesome these cards are.
Yeah, they look so nice. They're almost comic like. It's incredible.
Yeah, and it was just one of those things. When I was doing a little Sebastian Aho side PC, there was one that went up for auction, and I went for it. I mean, I didn't go over $100 or anything, which is what it went for. But I'm like, this is a really cool card. Somehow I stumbled upon somebody said, hey, did you know Fleury's in there? I'm like, no way. I got to get this card. And these cards are so cool because they're so unique. And, me being a big art fan, I felt like this kind of fit the bill. And so when I came up with my most wanted list, this was number 2. And to be able to cross that off, it's pretty amazing. The card was expensive, but it was, again, being a stealth release, really, it's like a 30 card set. I'm assuming the print run can't be more than 10 to 20 in that range. So it was worth it to add it to the collection and have it on display. It's a very unique piece in the display case. And so that's my story of kind of going through that. Like, it kind of happened slowly, and it wasn't like seeing it on eBay type thing, where you get that little like, oh my gosh, type feeling. Just super quick, the Platinum Portrait from Metal Universe this year, Fleury. That was my most wanted card that has come out recently. And when it showed up on eBay, somebody on Instagram He didn't post on Instagram, but he posted on eBay, and I made the offer. I sent him a message. I talked about how much I'd love to have the card, and he, like the guy you bought it from, said, "Yeah, this is definitely, it's a decent offer. It belongs in your collection. I'm happy it's going there." Boom, best offer accepted. And so, you give like a yes, kind of a celebratory fist pump, and so those two kind of mirror what you said. Really good people to deal with, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I can only imagine the feeling for you, because I definitely felt that feeling as well. But now, since that you've crossed off 2 cards, that's off your want list. What's next? What's the number one or the?
The number one most wanted card. Just a teaser. It's been on its way from Australia for the last 15 days. So I'm kind of like treating it like it's going to show up in March. I've been tracking it. It is in the States. It's made it to, where is it? Is it Florida? I want to say somewhere, one of the customs places. So it's in the States, and that's all I could say. It visually, in my opinion, when I made my most wanted list at the beginning of the year, I was like, this is the best looking card I've ever seen. And this is going to lead me to a question for you is I gave up a flurry that I did not have a double of to make this happen. But when you look at the value that it took me to get the card, he got 2 cards, a Jari and a flurry, and I got my most wanted card. It made perfect sense to do it because I wasn't a huge fan of the flurry that I traded. I'm sure you know the color coded set from the cup that they did.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I liked the flurry, but I was disappointed that it wasn't a gold ink. And so because it just wasn't a card that was like, ooh, look at this card. So it was easy for me, I guess, in the sense to give up a card that don't have a duplicate. Have you ever traded a Pickard card that you did not have a duplicate of? Because I can imagine how much harder that would be for you as compared to me, because flurry cards will show up from time to time.
Right. I honestly, I've never had that experience. Never. I've bought everything. I don't think I've ever gone into a trade where it's like someone was taking one of my Pickard cards for one that I didn't have.
Okay. So, can you ever see yourself doing something like that? Like, I'm curious, what is your number one most wanted Pickard card? Is there anything out there that you're still chasing down, like something out of 5, something out of 3?
Yeah, a 101 printing plate to finish off the rainbow. So.
Is that a permission to show the? Are we talking about the patch autograph?
We're talking about the patch autos. Yeah, I have 3 of the 4. So it's and it is a big card because the story was when Panini sent these cards out to get signed, a lot of the RPAs ended up getting damaged on the way back.
Mm-hmm.
So Pickard's was never released. So those are the only. There's only 4 printing plate RPAs in existence for him, and I have 3 of them, and just missing the 4th for the rainbow.
Did you ever reach out to Panini to see if they had any of like unnumbered proof type, RPAs floating around? Because I don't know if they would have just destroyed them all, but I know for their records they had to have kept some of them. I don't know. I mean, you'd have to have a connection with someone at Panini, but I'd even like the printer proof, like just the front of it colored without the patch and auto. It'd be really cool to have something like that, in the archives. But the patches they used on those cards are beautiful, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, so that's number 1. So you've got So what color is it then that's missing from here? The black?
You know what? I haven't even checked. See if I can figure that out right now. Or do I even have them in front of me?
I'd have to go to trading card database too to find out if you can't find. I can find that, but that's 10 1-on-1s in one picture. I mean, me personally, besides the shield, it's a hard one to pick. I would love to have a flurry button card. I've never seen one, but also this Prism 101. I mean, the prisms from that year are absolutely gorgeous. That would probably be the one that I already know who owns it, but I would love to see it or own it someday in person. That would be awesome. All right, well, cool. Well, I mean, do you have any others, Andy, that you're still chasing down besides the printing plate? I mean, is there a couple more after that?
Yeah, like as you just mentioned, I think the other Prism 101 is there, and I think the Select Black Tag 101. So
That'd be nice.
yeah,
Okay.
one of my favorite all-time sets is 1314 Select. So I think yeah, if I could just knock a few of those off, then it'd be almost a complete collection. But
Man. Well, I mean, I guess where you got your Ice Rookie side PC. I was thinking about this myself. I mentioned Spencer Knight. There's also Jeremy Swayman, who
yeah,
is an Alaskan-born U.S. goalie, which is awesome. Me being raised in Alaska since I was 6, I think that would be a fun collection to go for. Although it's funny, I don't like his mask. I don't like that stripe down the middle with no protector. Like I don't really dig that look.
right.
But Spencer Knight, I think, would be my first side. Like if I was going to start another goalie PC, I would go to Spencer Knight. Is there any other goalies out there? I mean, obviously there's Chet Pickard,
Yeah.
but is there any other goalies that you would be keen to maybe start a little PC of to keep the collection going?
I would love, and I mean love, to collect Sebastian Cossa, prospect from Detroit. He's playing right now for the Edmonton Oil Kings, but I think he's gonna be a guy that just comes out hot. First round pick. So I don't know if I'll have the funds to be able to pick up some of his nicer stuff once they're released. And being from a Regional 6 franchise, I think when his stuff comes out, it's gonna be quite
Pretty big.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously you can grab a couple young guns,
Yeah.
maybe not the exclusive. I mean, it kind of just depends on how good he is when he comes out. I mean, it's sad to say this, but it's almost nice when they come out and they only play 4 games and get shelled pretty bad. And you're like, okay, good. The young guns is going to be cheap, you know. And, but I'd say, you know, the O-Pee-Chee, the MVPs, I mean, you definitely have the ice. I mean, depending on how low numbered, if he's
Right,
in the 299 group or 199 group, definitely doable. That will probably be your most wanted card to him, I would assume, as the ice. Cool. Well, that'll be fun to see when he comes onto the scene. You know, I think for me it's tough because there's so many Fleury cards that become available that I can't keep dumping money into side PCs. I mean, picking up dollar cards are great, but Spencer Knight rookies are not dollar cards. And so definitely want to grab a young guns of his and Jeremy's to add just to have one. But yeah, trying to think if I was going to pick like a cheaper goalie that's young, maybe a Penguins prospect that comes up that does pretty well. They've been drafting a lot of goalies. I think Bloomquist would be a fun one.
Bloomquist, I think Diorio's is still in the system, and
yeah, who knows if he'll make it up.
Yeah,
but a Penguins goalie for sure, or just a young goalie that Fleury's way of smiling and having fun and being super athletic out there. I think that is something that I look for, you know, and Spencer Knight tends to be real serious. You know, a lot of the goalies are for good reason, but somebody's going to come along once Fleury retires that I'm seeing the interviews, somebody that's just a little bit goofy, you know, having fun out there and thanking his post, like somebody that does something quirky will catch my eye, and the connection will happen, you know.
Right,
so hopefully it's a Penguins player. Cool. It's been really fun to hear about these, and it's cool to see that you are still chasing a few cards, because those players that don't have, like, how many cards does Pickard have total? Have you ever looked at the TCDB count?
I have a spreadsheet going, but I don't think I've updated it for a while.
Okay.
Not a whole lot of stuff other than his rookie year stuff. I'll tell you that much.
Is it like, what, 300 something maybe total cards? Like, include if you were to have every 101 and then one copy of every card that's been made, how many does he have? Do you know?
I'm gonna go try to pull up that checklist here to see if that's there. Just pull it up real quick.
Yeah. See which one of us can get it pulled up here faster. My internet's going super slow. There it goes. For anybody that doesn't use it, Trading Card Database, while it's archaic at times because of its operating system. It is very, very helpful in the organization of how many, what you're missing, and like every chart I put in that has a serial number, I put the specific serial number in, so I have a way of going and I can check and see what it is. And so there's been a lot of times where cards pop up of Fleury. I'm like, before I hit the buy button, let me go check and see if I have it. And most times I do, which is nice. So it's good to be able to go check and see if it's in there.
Right. I updated my. Oh, here we go.
Okay.
That my Excel wouldn't work. Total products about 290.
I'm showing 319, but that I think that includes all the retro stuff that he has.
Yeah.
Or not retro, I'm sorry, but like rookie stuff and AHL or whatever, like the non Colorado Avalanche.
Maybe the stuff that came out of the Seattle Thunderbirds team. Or
he did play for the Thunderbirds. Yeah, that's so cool. Oh, there he is. Yep. There's a little slideshow on Trading Card Database. The first one that it showed, though, was like a Young Guns throwback auto out of 10. Have you been able to grab a copy of that?
If I can. All right, let's check this box here.
Because that card looked really cool. It was hand numbered, too.
Talking about that?
Look at that. Oh, yeah. Can you hold that card up? 5 out. Okay, I was curious if it was your card that was in here. Okay, 5 out of 10. And did they throw a sticker on there? Or is that on card?
Yeah, it's a sticker.
Can't hardly tell, though.
Expo. I think this was an Expo release, actually.
Okay, gotcha. You want to show us, just obviously we've seen all the one-on-ones, but what are some cards that when you're going through your box there, you like to pull out and take a peek at? Maybe whether it's like the specific design or like the picture of him or the autograph. Are there any that kind of stand out to you?
Yeah, I mean, this is probably one of my favorite cards, the titanium rookies. I just really like the red in the background. This is the retail version out of 99.
Okay.
Just a nice looking card, nice pose.
That is a great picture, man. Look at that setup. He had a great mask.
Yeah.
Okay. Very nice. Yep.
It's just definitely stuff like that, right? I mean,
privy to that old, because they brought those specific names back because there was, 2000, 2001 titanium, one of the best sets that they probably ever did in those days. Okay. So the red retail, I have seen one of those of Fleury that it's higher numbered though, because it's not as rookie. What about, did he get in any Dominion stuff?
He did. Not the rookie, but I'm just trying to find the box here. Kind of boxes of him.
I'm picturing how you're looking. I'm picturing like boxes just everywhere. That's perfect. Dominion is a set that stood out to me as just the photography was done very well. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Cards.
I love these cards. They did such a good job with just keeping the design simple, but classy and elegant. So yeah, so this was the set where he didn't have the RPA, so he had the just the four printing plates, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
gotcha. But they did some other side sets and whatnot. Okay.
Yeah. There's the 3.
Awesome. How about like lower numbered parallels? Where we have you been able to track those down? Like I was looking at the slideshow of some of the cards that he's in. Did he get any rookies or second year cards that are numbered out, like any high gloss or
no
superscripts or anything like that?
He was thrown into an MVP set for non-rookie stuff, and that was it. Like I think the other set that he was thrown into was Team Canada that year because he had played for the Canadian team at the World Championship. So
all right. Gotcha. Yeah, I am seeing the MVP set here. I see him in O-Pee-Chee, second year O-Pee-Chee.
Yeah, there you go, O-Pee-Chee. Forgot about that. Yeah.
So there's got to be those black rainbow foils out of 100. The MVP though, he's got to have a superscript.
Yeah,
I would think.
Yeah, I think I have all those.
Awesome. And then there was a mammoth patch or something. I couldn't see what that set was. It's like a horizontal card with a big huge patch and a tiny picture of him off to the side.
And that was from Dominion as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yep.
Ooh, do I even have that here?
Yeah, it is really neat to see how organized people are with their collections too, and whatnot, because it can get a little overwhelming at times, for sure.
Yeah, just a little bit. I think I'm a little overwhelmed here with all of the sets I have here, but where is that box?
I have made it into 3 boxes now. Things that are not in the display case. I'm now at 3 of these shoe boxes. I don't know if you use them, but they're 2 rows and they fit all the one touches and stuff in them perfectly.
Yeah, I have 10 of those going. So
10 of those.
Yeah.
How about that?
You know,
just kind of looking.
You track down that box right now, but I will show you these.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is an out of 5 set, so I ended up getting 3 of them. Oh, there we go.
And those are the fight straps, right?
That's the fight strap, yeah.
Okay. Awesome. What do you think about those, like the hockey cards? I feel like the mem cards are so neat. You know, all the memorabilia cards are so much more unique. You got the sticks, the tape, the skates, the fight strap, the blocker, the glove, the pad. I mean, all that stuff. Us Goalie collectors have it good, man, because there's some sweet cards out there.
You know what? I would love for them to bring back more equipment cards, like the cards with the glove in them, or the block or the pads. Like quite a bit of stick pieces, but I'm not seeing a lot of gear cards. So definitely something I would like to throw back, just because you see all the goalies now, they have their own custom colors and their custom designs. Like a big example of that, Elvis Merzlikins of Blue Jackets. If you go and you look at his custom sets that he's had for the last 2-3 years, incredible. So I would love to see, once those have kind of stopped all the shots they could handle, make it into some cards.
Right. Oh, that would be really cool. That's another guy I've thought, I've almost gone over the edge and been like, all right, let's start an Elvis PC, but he's still pretty popular. And again, listening to his interviews, he's a very interesting person to listen to about the goaltending position and how he trains for it. And I feel bad for him, because his team's really good offensively, but they're not good defensively, and he gets peppered pretty badly at times. But he's definitely a guy whose setup catches my eye, and he had some crazy looking pads a couple months ago. I remember, like baby blue colored or something. It was like, dang, those are awesome. We were talking a little bit about World Juniors, and I didn't until recently have a Fleury autograph card from those times, and I think it's important, if your player has one, to try to get one. But of course, with Fleury, most of his World Junior autographs are from the Cup, but this is one that came in recently, and the Program of Excellence from the Cup are usually really expensive. But I got, again, another Instagram guy, and reached out about how much I love collecting this player, and I didn't have one in the collection, and he offered it like a little over $100. I was like, I couldn't say yes fast enough. That was so exciting. Like, oh yes, there's one in the collection now. But yeah, those like you're saying with the mem cards, I would love to see Panini go, or not Panini, but Upper Deck go the route of Panini and try to bring like, what was like in the game, the complete package cards where you had like a blocker, fight strap, a glove, and a like an actual pad.
Yeah, like a number piece, or like a
like just having a card with all like 5 or 6 pieces. I know that Panini does that in the football and basketball. They do that one with like a piece of basketball, a piece of a patch, a piece of the shoe, and a piece of something, that kind of stuff. Would be really cool to see. I was going to show one more before calling it good. Let's see here. Where can we go? Here's a set. Well, I'll just use this because this is a set I would love to see come back. And I don't know if it could be a full release. I know they kind of do them from time to time, but this was a 2 cards per box release. It was Upper Deck Black, and I would love to see Upper Deck Black come back. I showed this one off already last week, but I would love to see Upper Deck Black make a comeback, because I feel like it would be well received, and the cards would do very well in today's market. I think would be a no-brainer.
Yeah.
You know,
I think their last release was 2019.
it was within Black Diamond, wasn't it? Or did they actually do it as a solo?
Right, like the one card pack.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it would do really well. I'll throw this out here too, because I just, you've seen all these other designs that are coming out now, and Calvin doesn't have any cards, unfortunately. But if you could just take him from his Red Wings uniform and slap him into any card that's currently being produced right now, like any set, what would it be? What would you love to see of him?
That is a great question. I thank you for asking that. And I'll steer clear of ice, because I think that's the number one.
Yeah, it's too easy, right?
But I like him. I could see him thrown into maybe Cup, like just a nice patch auto out of Cup or Premier, or one of the more elite products. Just because he's also had a nice autograph. It's not messy. It's pretty clean. You can kind of make out what it's supposed to say. So I think that combined with some of the Red Wings patches would make a nice patch auto card.
That would be cool. Yeah, Premier and Ultimate, and of course the Cup, they do a really good job, like on the foils, and the photos are very well done. Something that I've paid attention to is like the quality of the photography and the editing before the cards go live. And yeah, that would be cool. Maybe we really need to see him in just the set that's coming to mind is that Masterpieces set from Ultimate, the gold auto.
Right, yeah.
That'd be it's kind of artistically done in the background. That would be cool to see him done on a set like that, even like a throwback to his Colorado days. Yeah, that would be neat. Huh. Well, maybe he'll get a card. I mean, I don't know. Next year's O-Pee-Chee, 22-23 O-Pee-Chee.
Yeah,
he did play for Detroit. I don't know. I mean, it would just be really cool to see him get thrown into something.
Yeah.
Because he did play a little bit. I mean, maybe he makes it into extended series.
Maybe, possibly, yeah.
Because, you got at Detroit, you got obviously Nedeljkovic, and you've got Greece playing there, but he very well could be in extended. So I am hoping for your sake that he gets thrown in there so you can chase down the exclusives, the clear cut French, and then the high gloss. That would be like the ultimate card to find. That would be really neat.
Yeah, I think I probably have to try and do the entire high gloss print run, get all 10.
That would be fun for you. I mean, easily attainable. You wouldn't be paying crazy amounts for it, but we could all be out there looking for those for you. Yeah, that would be fun. Well, I guess we've covered a pretty good amount of topics here. It's always fun to end with like a more recent addition to the collection. Is there anything that you haven't shown that you'd like to show that you got in recently, or anything that you'd like to talk about before we wrap it up?
Oh yeah, for sure. So something personal that I just wanted to kind of discuss is I'm a student, and I consider myself an athlete. Obviously not at a very high level, but one of my idols is Ken Dryden, and we all hear about Ken Dryden, how great he was from Montreal. But what I admire so much about him is he actually took some time off during his professional career, became a lawyer, and then came back to professional hockey and was still lifting Stanley Cups. So that's just incredible to me. So for the longest time, I've been hunting down a cheap Ken Dryden rookie card, and I finally found one last year for about 50 Canadian. So doesn't matter to me that it's a Tubbs. Doesn't matter to me that it has a bit of corner damage. It was just something that was sentimental to me when I found it, just because that is someone who I think I live up to, both as a student and someone who plays hockey. So there it is.
Awesome. I like hearing stories like that. I really enjoy that you have such a personal connection to this player and to the card. And also did not know that he took a break to become a lawyer and then came back and won more games, won more cups. That's how many cups total has Ken Dryden won?
I want to say in his 9 years, he won 6. I could be wrong on those numbers, but I think 6 in 9 years is around the right figure.
That's something else, man. And I first learned about Ken. I remember seeing his book as a kid, and also he was the color commentator on the Miracle on Ice game, which was really neat, with Al Michaels. So yeah, that was pretty cool to learn more about him. And it seems like you got Tim hooked you up with this card here too, helped you find it, right?
Yeah, he's going through a guy's box, and he's just like, this Ken Dryden rookie, so couldn't pay the guy fast enough.
That's great. That was awesome. Well, yeah, I guess to end too, I mean, there's lots of wonderful Instagram accounts in there. Other than Tim's Turco cards, are there any other accounts that you find yourself, kind of checking up on, interacting with, and any accounts that you think people should go check out if they haven't already?
Mr. Gish is I hope I'm pronouncing that right, but he's the big Aginla collector, and he's just got some incredible, wicked incredible stuff.
Former teacher as well, retired teacher. He was fun to have on the channel and do an interview with his story. And then he takes a lot of time using the book creator and makes these displays for us to see, which is really cool. Okay, so that's a good one. And he and a lot of his buddies do these challenges that sometimes I'm in, sometimes I'm not, but their collections to just see the cards that they've got stored away in their collections is astounding. It really is. Anybody else come to mind?
My buddy Will, he runs Hollingworth Authentic. If you look him up, he has a bunch of I think that's him right there. Bunch of in-person autos. Collection's incredible.
Well, I am adding him to the follow list. All right, only doesn't need some more followers here, just based upon what he has. But wow, and this is somebody that you grew up with, or?
Yeah, this is someone that I've known for a long time, worked with. Really, really nice guy, knows his stuff, and the amount of in-person autos that he can bring in is insane. Like he'll go and he'll go to airports and the arenas. He knows the hot spots, and just someone who I talk about this hobby often. Just a great guy, Will.
Okay, awesome, very, very cool. How about one more? Let's do one more that you'd like to spotlight here.
Ooh, there's just so many.
It is tough to pick. I like putting people on the spot. So,
I think 4-color swatch would be a unique one. I think that's what he's called.
Let's see. Maybe I need to spell the word 4. There you go.
There you go. He collects Portland Winterhawks graduates, so Nick Batan, and one interesting guy that he picks up is Cody Gulabev.
Okay.
So I think he has most cards out there for him, and you don't expect a guy like him to have any collectors that collect him this.
There we go.
But yeah,
there he is. I like that though. I love following the accounts that have collections of players that you wouldn't have guessed, like some random goalie. You're like, wait, why? And then you hear why, and it becomes even more fascinating. So, okay, well, there's 2 out of 3 that I was not already following. So, thank you for pointing that. And then, of course, this picture is a 4-color swatch. I love it. Isn't it been neat to see, like on Instagram, how many specific collections there are? And we talked about that. Kelvin and I did last week. Guys that collect serial numbered cards for their jerseys, guys that collect cards of players from minor league teams or very specific. I mean, there's just a plethora of cards out there, that collections out there. You're like, man, I would never have guessed this.
What is it? Chris collects the Asian hockey players. That's another insane collection that I admire so much.
Chris, and then name Indigenous rookie cards. I mean, both of those guys. My goal is to get them both on at the same time and just sit back and just listen to stories. Like, not really say much and just ask questions and let them compare their stories, because I assume there's going to be a lot of crossover of why their collections mean what they do to them. but just hearing the stories about the players from those backgrounds, I think those are stories that need to continue to be told, and especially from a collecting standpoint, it's awesome to see their passion for their collections. So, yeah, Indigenous rookie cards would be one that I would certainly shout out. I'm trying to think of newer ones that I've discovered, but I keep coming back to some of the classics, let me see here. I'm kind of rolling through a newer one that came up as Art Boy AD1. His collection is just astounding, but the Panini flavor, he's got a lot of one-on-one Panini cards, but just other cards from Panini of players, and he's been posting in alphabetical order. His collection has taken me to places I'm just like, I cannot believe he's got all these cards stored. And then one I found really recently was the Kirk McLean collector.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And again, he was doing a mask vote off, which has been cool, but just to hear about why he collects Kirk McLean and appreciating all the cards that he has, from the autographs down to the just base cards, and looking at a base card and saying, this setup right here he wore for this many games, and this is his record wearing that setup, like that kind of stuff. I nerd out about it constantly, so nonstop. Well, Andy, thanks again for coming on, man. I really enjoyed hanging out and chatting with you. I knew we'd have a good time, just like the last time you were on. And thanks for telling us about, a little bit more about your collection. I hope people, after listening to this, will go and find your account, say hello, and continue following your projects and whatnot that you got working on. So yeah, thanks for taking the time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a huge passion of mine. Keeps me on the ground. So definitely to talk about it with people who are also passionate about the hobby. It's there's nothing like it. So I definitely thank you, and I thank all the people out there who are listening. And I look forward to meeting a lot more people.
Hopefully so, man. That's the point. Connections is everything. And if you'd be up for it, I think it would be really fun to have you back with Tim on here. I don't know if he's ever done an interview, but I'm really excited to have him on, because I feel like once Tim gets going, he's going to have stories upon stories that could go on for hours, just with all the collecting that he's done. And his collection certainly has made an impression on us. And I know he's been a big help to you, not just finding cards, but also just being a good friend in the hobby. So
yeah, for sure.
Hopefully we can make that happen down the road. Cool. Well, hey, thank you to everybody for watching and listening. And we hope to talk to you again real soon. Next episode, or this episode, of course, it came out on Monday, but the next Monday, I'm going to have my good friend Chris, who's a big Marc-Andre Fleury collector, on. So that is sure to be full of Penguins and Fleury content. So we'll look forward to that one. And thanks again, Andy. We'll talk to you guys soon.